Same song, different verse. Here we are a week later, and it's just as worse. That wasn't it, was it? I'm close. You know the topic. Chimaev. Guys. Okay, we hear from the man himself. Chimaev decides he's going to post a video on YouTube. Now, the video's painful to watch because whoever the producer was decided it was a good idea to conduct an interview with Chimaev while Chimaev is on a treadmill. So you have to hear the banging of the feet on the treadmill as you're trying to hear Chimaev. And of course, Chimaev is working out. So as each step he takes, he gets a little bit more tired. And it's a little bit harder for him to say, but somebody was nice enough to subtitle it, and I took the time to read it so that you don't have to go through this. But Chimaev said a couple of things, and he said them very candidly. And there's just a way to tell when a guy's working as opposed to when a guy is shooting with you. And Chimaev was shooting. Chimaev said, I don't know why the Magny fight didn't happen. I would fight Magny. I would even fight him tonight. And he gave me, it was as close as Chimaev knew how to give credit to a fellow opponent. He was trying to say something nice about Magny, whether it actually came out as a beautiful compliment or not. It's at least what he meant. But he answered us, right? Because we have been discussing, why didn't they make the Magny fight? I'd really like to see that fight. It's a ranked opponent. It checks a lot of boxes. You say nobody will fight Chimaev. Here's the guy that'll fight Chimaev. Did it happen? That's all Chimaev said. I don't know why it didn't happen. And then Chimaev moved over to Luque. He said, I said I'm going to smash everybody. I said I'll smash everybody in the division anytime. Luque says I didn't say his name specifically. Well, I'm saying your name because you're included in everybody. Okay, great. Yesterday's news, I'm sharing with you the theme and the spirit that Chimaev was speaking to, which was his division and a need for any opponent. So then somehow Chimaev ends up in the wheelhouse of Stephen Thompson. And he went after Stephen pretty hard. Now, that one was a little bit of a surprise to me, but I liked it, and I'll tell you why. Not that I liked that he went after Stephen Thompson. He went after Stephen Thompson, and Stephen is coming off of a defeat. One thing that happens with a guy, no matter who it is, once he gets a little bit of rub, all of a sudden he's too good to fight with anybody. All of a sudden it doesn't make sense for his brand to fight with anybody. The fact that Chimaev said anybody, and that includes guys coming off of losses, he does not give a damn who, I took as a sincerity to just that. Chimaev truly does not care who. So what is the holdup? I would have to think Wonder Boy would jump at that kind of an opportunity. He just fell down a rung. He got beat. Boom. He's going to be right back in a co-main event spot, if not better. Another chance to get right back on that horse. Wonder Boy is very nice and he's very handsome and he's polite, but make no mistake, he does not back down from anybody. You might just have solved the problem. And you might not have, you might have created it. So Wonder Boy had to respond back. And Wonder Boy said, Chimaev doesn't spend a whole lot of time on his feet. Could be interesting. I don't begrudge him for the way that he fights, but I don't know that he necessarily has what it takes to come out and fight my kind of fight. Now, I just changed Wonder Boy's words, but I'm very close, and it was something along this theme. And it did make me reflect back and go, well, is that true? I don't know. The one and only time that Chimaev stood up and threw punches, he landed 2, and within those 2, knocked out his opponent. So, and not to mention that was at middleweight. So we've proven that the question around Chimaev, just how good is the son of a bitch, is still out there. And it's still one that we believe we can answer right now. He's pretty damn good. But I have to default back to the Chael point. And Chael's the only one who's made this point, which is, why are we saying he's a 170-pounder? Where did that come from? He's done 2 fights at 85. He's done 2 fights at 70. His most recent being at 70. Why are we saying he's a 70-pounder? He got a ranking at 70. I mean, is that it? Is that why he's locked in here? Because at one point, nobody at 170 would fight him. At no point were those waters tested at 185. Are the 85-pounders just as big a chickens as the 70-pounders? Is that what we're learning? We've just never been told? And why is it we're locking him in at 170? If it is true that he's having a hard time getting fights, then move him out of the weight class. If he's not just going to fight the most willing opponent or the highest ranked opponent or the highest ranked opponent, who is the also willing opponent? If he's not going to do that, get him out of the damn weight class, but get him back to work. Where am I wrong, guys? What am I missing? Something's right in front of me and I'm not seeing it. There's something right here. It's right in front of it and I'm not seeing it. We've heard from Dana briefly, 4 fights before a world title. Great, that has nothing to do with what's next. All that says is next isn't going to be Usman, and we know that anyway because Leon's fighting Usman, so we didn't really learn a whole lot there. Chimaev is saying he'll fight absolutely anybody. He seems to be zeroed in at 170, but he's not officially a 70-pounder. He's had equal fights at 185. And it's always been the issue from Jump Street that the first thing we need to know, if there's going to be a title run, is what category are you in? We must identify whether it's 85 or it's 70. It has been told to us that it's 170, but there's no contract signed for 170. Why are we locked in there? If the options are still open, if there's really nothing that's done, and I would have been in the camp a week ago, probably started in this camp 2 weeks ago, that something was done and coming out for Chimaev. I would have guessed that. Because Chimaev had gone a little bit quiet. All the other boys had gone a little bit quiet. And generally when guys are chirpy and two guys go quiet, it's because they have a deal done and they're just waiting for the announcement to be made. Generally, that would be solid detective work. Circumstantial, but it would point you in a direction. I would have thought that happened with Chimaev. Listening to Chimaev, rather reading the subtitles, because some idiot thought they should interview him while he's on a treadmill working out. All the thing I could gather is Chimaev doesn't have any more clarity either. And he really does just want anybody. But it all appears to be at 170 pounds. So maybe I'm kicking open a door that's already been closed, but I don't see why. He's done 2 at 70, he's done 2 at 85. Nobody wants to fight him at 70. Sounds like he's got to go to 85. Where am I wrong? And I am wrong. I am missing something. I acknowledge that. I'm just coming to you guys, and we're going to have to start with a guess. I'll go through the comments. One of us will be right. But not right because we have inside information or we've got some kind of a crystal ball, just because we guessed and it happened to land on that. There's only so many options, but those options appear to be growing for Chimaev. It used to just be Magny. Now you got Luque speaking up. Lahal Muhammad used his platform, which he earned by winning a main event on ESPN, to use it to call out Chimaev. Jeff Neal spoke up somewhere along the way, then went out and got himself a win over Ponzinibbio. It seems as though we've solved the problem. It seems as though not only we solved the problem, we seem that we can only even call it a problem, that nobody at 70 will fight Chimaev. Somebody isn't putting Chimaev in. If you're not going to put him in at 70, move him up to 85.